So welcome to another amazing chapter that deals with heat and temperature and their relation to energy, work, radiation and properties of matter, and collectively it is called thermodynamics. In fact, you would have covered some of the stuff in early classes, so you'll find the first few lessons a lot easier to understand, but you may need to put some extra focus when we get to the laws of thermodynamics, which I must say is the deep side of the pool. But having said this, let me assure you from my experience that students who paid attention eventually found that thermodynamics was a lot easier than what the scary Carnot engine diagram had made them to believe it was. Well, before we go ahead, let me request you to press the subscribe button if you've not done already, so that you continue to get notifications on all videos that are released. And if you like it, please give it a thumbs up and do share with someone who can benefit from it. So recall a time when you saw your mother open the tight lid of a glass jar by putting it under warm water. Why did the lid magically open? I'm sure your mother was a Wonder Woman, but she also knew a bit about physics of opening jars. Well, what happened here was that the glass and the lid both expanded under warm water, but the lid expanded a little more than the glass and therefore loosened up and opened. At a molecular level, or let's say a microscopic level, what happened was that the warm water added energy to the atoms of both glass and the metal lid, and the atoms started moving back and forth, but the atoms of the metal could move farther apart against the atomic force that held the atoms together compared to the glass atoms or molecules. So the greater motion of the atoms of the metal lid showed up in all its dimensions, and therefore it loosened up more. Before we go ahead, I must mention that through the lesson I might use the word atom and molecules interchangeably, and for the purpose of this chapter it may not matter, and where it does I'll point it out. So if you think for a moment, you can relate this phenomenon of expansion to several situations in life. A common example that you might have studied from early classes is the expansion slots in bridges that allow for expansion of the metal of the bridge on hot days. Well, imagine if these slots were not there. The metal would expand due to heat and crack, resulting in failure of the bridge. And engineers have a term for this and they call it buckling. Well, expansion of materials can be put to use in making things that we can use in our life. Thermometers and thermostats are good examples to illustrate the point. So let's get on with some physics around the topic. And the first item on the list is linear expansion. So if you take a metal rod of length L and raise its temperature by delta T, the increase in length of such a rod is proportional to 1, the increase in temperature, and 2, the original length. And it seems quite intuitive, because if we've agreed that metal expands on heating, then if you take double the length, you should get double the increase for given change in temperature. And you'd see that this would be true for any metal. But if we convert this into an equality by putting a constant, what you get is this, where alpha is called the coefficient of linear expansion, and it's a property unique to a metal, and its units are per degree centigrade or per Kelvin, and depends on the material that is undergoing expansion. If we take a rod of unit length, then alpha can be written as delta L upon delta T, or we can say that alpha is change in length per degree change in temperature for unit length of a material. So higher the value of alpha, more its tendency to increase or decrease in length when its temperature changes. So here is a table that shows the alpha value for some materials, and you can use Kelvin or degree centigrade. The alpha value remains the same. You can see that alpha value for aluminium is more than brass, which means that for every degree rise in temperature, aluminium expands more than brass. So that brings us to volume expansion, and To understand this, I want you to imagine a cuboid that is being heated, and its each linear dimension, that is width, height and breadth, is therefore also expanding linearly the way we discussed in linear expansion. So if you can imagine this, you should also be able to imagine that the cuboid is expanding volume wise too, since each of its dimension is changing in length. Now, if you think about liquids, then volume expansion actually is the only relevant expansion parameter. So volume expansion of a solid or liquid is given as delta V, or the change in volume, is equal to V times beta times delta T, where beta is the coefficient of volume expansion. So if a solid or liquid having volume V is subjected to an increase in temperature delta T, then the increase in volume delta V is given as V times beta times delta T. Also, beta can be interpreted quite the way we did alpha, that is, if you have a cube of unit volume, then beta is nothing but change in volume per unit change in temperature. Also, beta and alpha are related as beta is equal to 3 alpha. And if you're really interested, I can actually do a quick derivation for you, because I always believe derivation really makes things a lot more understandable. So let's go ahead and establish this relationship that beta is actually equal to 3 alpha. To do so, consider a cube of length L. So we can say its volume V is equal to L cube. And we can then write dV, or the change in volume, as equal to dV into dl upon dl over here. And dV upon dl is nothing but 3L squared. So we put 3L squared here and retain the dl over here. Now, from the earlier part of the lesson, we have established that the change in length, that is linear expansion, is equal to alpha times L naught, and we are assuming, let's say, the length L is actually L naught, which is the original length, into dt, which is the change in temperature. So if we go ahead and substitute the value of dl over here, that is this value over here, what you get is dV, or the change in volume, is equal to 3L naught square, because we assumed the length as L naught, into dl, which is alpha into L naught times dt. So what we see is that dV now equals 3 alpha L naught cube times dt. And we also know that L naught cube is nothing but the original volume. So we write dV is equal to 3 alpha V naught times dt. And this is nothing but your beta. So we say, therefore, beta is equal to 3 times alpha. Well, if you consider the most often used liquid, that is water, it behaves a lot differently. So for a temperature above 4 degrees centigrade, water expands as the temperature rises, as we would expect. But between 0 and 4 degrees centigrade, water surprisingly contracts with increasing temperature. So if you start heating water at 0 degrees, it'll keep contracting, not expanding, till it reaches 4 degrees, at which temperature the water would have contracted the most, and therefore at 4 degrees the density of water is at its max. And this strange contraction of water explains why lakes freeze on top first. So let's try to understand this a little better. Well, if the air above the lake is at 0 degrees centigrade and the water is, let us say, at 10 degrees, the air keeps cooling the surface of water, and the temperature of the water on surface keeps coming down, thereby causing contraction, as should happen, and therefore its density also keeps increasing, because contraction results in molecules coming closer, which therefore implies higher density. So this denser water naturally sinks down and the lighter water comes up. So now this lighter water gets cooled by the air and it sinks down, and the water at lower temperature below comes up. So this cycle continues till the temperature of water reaches 4 degrees. Now the water under the surface is at 4 degrees and is denser than the water on top, because we know that density of water is maximum at 4 degrees centigrade. And therefore the water on top, which is at 0 degrees, is lighter than water below and therefore continues to stay on top. And even when the temperature of water under reduces below 4 degrees, it is still denser than water at top, that is at 0 degrees, and therefore water on top does not sink down and the air outside continues to cool the water on top till it reaches 0 degrees and forms ice, and then the cooling of the water below continues from top down. So let us try to put our understanding of expansion of liquids to solve a problem. So what we have is an oil tanker that starts from let's say location A to deliver 20,000 liters of diesel to a fuel station at a location B, which is 21 Kelvin lower than location A. So the question is, how many liters were actually delivered at location B? Beta value for diesel fuel is 9.5 into 10 to the power minus 4 degrees centigrade, and alpha for steel truck tank is 11 into 10 to the power minus 6 per degree centigrade. So we see that the temperature at the time of delivery is less than the temperature from where it started, which therefore implies volume contraction of diesel. So the new volume at location B is calculated as follows. So we use the formula that delta V, or the change in volume, is equal to beta times the initial volume into the change in temperature. So let's go ahead and substitute the values. Delta V is what we have to find. Beta is given as 9.5 into 10 to the power minus 4 per degree centigrade. V naught is 20,000 liters and the change in temperature is minus 21 Kelvin. Now, if you solve for this, what you'll find is that this equals minus 399 liters, or there's a reduction of volume by 399 liters. And you'd have seen that we have a degree centigrade here, but a Kelvin here, which is quite okay since beta value will be the same if it is expressed in per Kelvin or per degree centigrade. But for the sake of some purity of the equation, we'll write this as Kelvin as well. So the volume delivered is therefore, and let's call that V dash, is equal to the initial value, which is 20,000 liters minus 399 liters. So the delivered volume is 19,601 liters. So the question I have is, who paid for the volume reduction from 20,000 liters to 19,601 liters that was delivered? So write your answer in the comments below and let us have a conversation. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and please do not forget to subscribe to this channel for many more interesting videos.